Good day, viewers. Welcome back to Humanism Alive with David Oliverio. That is I. The roots of humanism. Where did this beautiful philosophy and worldview and life stance that we have as non-believers called secular humanism, where did it derive from? Where was its origin? Well, first of all, most of us would agree that these philosophies and these humanist philosophers that we have learned from have come up with the practical guides for ethical behavior which predated Christianity, Islam, Judaism, and Hinduism. And may I say, as I'll say often through this message, no mentions of gods, angels, and demons. No mention of anything supernatural. So let's start out with about 400 to 500 BCE, years ago, with Confucius. Most of us know the Chinese philosopher Confucius, otherwise known as Confucianism. Now, Confucius taught of this thing called filial love, this innate emotion and drive that we humans have, as well as other social animals. By observing the natural world, you can see it. We have that love. Confucius said, hey, folks, stop looking up there at these gods that some people believe in. Let's look here on this earth. Let's see that this drive we have for our family members, our children, parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, and so forth. Let's take this love that we have in our family and let's share it with all of humanity. Very good advice. And then we had, of course, the Buddha, which was Buddhism about the same time, predating Christianity by a few hundred years. And we understand the concept of Buddhism, which was eliminating suffering and pain and promoting the well-being of all. Let's quickly move along to Aristotle, one of our favorites and most well-known of the Greek philosophers. Aristotelianism taught about the human excellence, the flourishing of happiness. He took the groundwork, right? The premise of all the other humanist philosophers of morals and ethics and love and kindness. But Aristotle said, let's go a step further. Let's use this kindness and love and morals and ethics and build into the full human experience, the flourishing life, the life of happiness. Aristotelianism taught on the balanced life, the physiological health, and the psychological health. Now, myself, as a almost retired personal trainer, I had to do something 30 to 40 years ago when I quit preaching, right? Until I can retire in a few years from this. I can tell you somewhat about the physiological health. It's good to be fit. It's good to eat healthy. It helps the aging process, and it slows it down a little bit too. It brings a good balance to life. He taught about that. And Aristotle also talked about the psychological health. This is very important for humanism, because humanism teaches on the more fully developed individual, emotionally secure individual, a healthy-minded individual. And those 5 characteristics of this particular type person is trusting, they're confident, they're optimistic, they're friendly, and they're open-minded. And of course, he always stressed the ethical and moral life. Again, about that same time frame, hundreds of years prior to the theistic religions, we had Stoicism, the Stoics. Very humanistic, no mention of the supernatural. Very similar to Aristotle's teachings. The foundation and premise of the Stoics was the ethical and moral life. Let's build that foundation of becoming a more developed person, but then let's not stop there. Let's progress ahead into more. They taught about the peace of mind in the midst of hardships. Now, we here in our very Christian country here in the United States, our very Christian culture, about Jesus, the Prince of Peace, right? The peace of God that passeth all understanding. But we, as non-believers, we as secular humanists, atheists, agnostics, we want peace as well, which is a freedom from inward and outward disturbances. The Stoics talked about this and taught on how do you find peace without belief in the supernatural. They focused on things that are within personal power and control. Only the things that you can control focus on, not on things that are not within your control or power. Let's move along to Epicurus, probably my favorite, the Greek philosopher 300-500 BCE. Again, Epicureanism started with the very premise of ethics and morals, but he went a step further as well. He said, let's move ahead in advance to the full human experience, seeking pleasure, which many call hedonism, and avoiding pain. Epicurus talked about we only have one life to live. We understand that in our secular humanist worldview. We do not have any evidence for immortality, for life after death, which many religious people still hold on to. So Epicurus talked about the one life we live, let's live it to the fullness, otherwise known as hedonism. Now, this is where it gets a little tricky, because the religious right has taken this concept of hedonism. They've embellished it, thrown in a lot of lies as well, to make it seem as if secular humanism is all about me. Meism, greed, selfishness, not looking to the needs of others. Actually, that's not what Epicurus taught. He talked about the chief goods, the necessary desires and needs that we as human beings have. And also he talked about the unnecessary pleasures that we can have. First of all, the basic needs, similar to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Epicurus talked about the necessary desires that should bring happiness to all, which are simply relationships, love. We all need love. We need food to survive, shelter, health, happiness, learning, etc. Many of us who would identify as minimalists, maybe I'm a little weird, I'm a minimalist, I don't need a whole lot to be happy. I like just the basics. But Epicurus said, wait a minute, this is not for everybody. Some people need more, and there's nothing wrong with that. They need a little spice in life. They need a little octane in their fuel, in their unleaded fuel, right? Back when we had octane many decades ago when I was younger. And those pleasures would be things such as parties, decadent meals, people that want to go out and enjoy life to the fullness. I think of even the act of sex, procreative sex, recreational sex, all kinds of sex that do not bring harm to other people. And there are many other things that we can find pleasure in this life that do not bring harm. Modern humanism borrows and continues to learn from the previous philosophies and searches for new knowledge and new evidence. That's why we, as secular humanists, are grounded and rooted in scientific method. We find what is best for all, what brings pleasure for all. These, my friends, are the roots of humanism. And I close with this: no mention of any gods, anything supernatural. So thank you so much for watching Humanism Alive. And remember, my friends, to let the light and the compassion of secular humanism shine. Have a wonderful day.